I want to share with you some thoughts that occurred to me while I was asleep. And they have to do with a very important natural phenomenon. It was introduced to you in problem 1.3, where the label for that was self-lubrication. A piece of homework is, of course, very important, but under it, there is a deeper message. And this is what I want to share with you. Again, talking about what occurred to me during the night. The problem had to do with the ease, ease of sliding through a space, or let's call it slit or groove, if you want, whatever, space in a solid that's stationary, and then this other piece is moving, and there is friction in those gaps. There's a fluid there. It's a Newtonian fluid. You've solved the problem, and you, most of you, arrived at the correct conclusion that the ease of sliding happens when these two gaps have the same spacing. Okay. In other words, the so-called ease of sliding means better lubrication, because you have an oil, let's say, in the gap, and that oil that is obviously introduced artificially in the case of the famous first, engine, piston sliding inside a cylinder. All of that is a good idea. However, to center the piston in the cylinder is first of all impossible to do as a design. It happens naturally. So self-lubrication, if you look at the configuration that you discovered for ease of sliding, by the way, this is akin to access, if you want, okay, movement. Could also be called self-alignment or self-centering, you see. And self means that it happens. It simply happens, or nature, if you will. Now, this particular drawing is important because it alerts you to the fact that the typical or classical sketch of the piston inside the cylinder, and for that matter, all these other things that flow this way, you can use your imagination. The large intestine operates this way. A slug sliding through a cylinder, the bullet through the barrel of the gun. All these things, of course, have wrong cross-section. That's my next you'll see in a second. But what you see here is a blown up image of what you cannot see here because I drew only one line. Get it? So, to exhibit this tendency toward the ease of sliding, or for that matter, self-lubrication, and all these other words, is to act naturally. Why is this important? Next time you're accused of being self-centered, you're entitled to respond, not my fault. I'm acting naturally. I'm acting in accord with the Constructal law. Not my fault. That is who I am. So that was the first part of what woke me up. Now, this is for rectilinear motion. Rotational motion is the same story. If you have a housing, sketched this block with a round hole here, meaning a cylindrical space in which a shaft is turning. And in the gap there is oil. By the way, oil is not cheap, especially the best oils are not cheap. Then clearly there's play between the shaft and the housing. But when the shaft is rotating, the shaft finds its way close to the center of the housing, because that is the position where the torque on the shaft is minimal. Now, the story here with the lubricating film, that is the fluid here, the oil that separates the shaft from the housing, is a little bit more complicated. There's a famous theory due to the same Osborne Reynolds, who is responsible for how turbulent flow is treated today, especially in engineering. And that has to do with the fact that because of this rotation, the annulus of oil is not of perfectly constant thickness. That has to do with the pressure distribution in the ring of oil. But the message is once again that the shaft has a mind of its own and migrates toward the center of the opening. For us, that is measured with regard to a decrease monotonic to less and less, or smaller and smaller torque that the shaft needs in order to rotate. So you see, once again, self-centering, you see. All right, you'll see lots of these things if you open your eyes and question everything from everything that you see, not just the animal realm, but the much older realm, which is the inanimate. In fact, when it comes to ease of movement, you will see this configuration, the round opening, everywhere. If you dig for worms to go fishing, to put them on the hook, you find galleries essentially very close to the perfect circle underground, galleries belonging to earthworms. Or the earthworm is this slug sliding through the opening. The cross section is round, and you have a solid proceeding through solid. So the circle, for us familiar, I guess, in the case of cross section through the trachea. All right, if you're into animal anatomy, all of that is everywhere you look. Or moles. If you keep on digging, you'll see even bigger cross-section galleries. And the biggest of them all is the shaft of the volcano. Yeah. Key question to follow, so pay attention. So here's the volcano. And this is the shaft. I'm making a drawing to scale. If this is the hill or the boil, then the shaft is looks like a line of just a line, okay? And of course, the shaft communicates with the bottom of the Earth crust, way down here, tens of kilometers under us. Are you aware that you're actually floating on magma? Magma, okay. Next time you hear people worrying about the climate, say, but what about the magma? You know, what about the complete picture? If you want to talk about that. All right. So the every single shaft of volcano turns out, that is after investigation, that it has a round cross section. So if you blow this thing up, meaning if you make a cut, you find in cross section a round configuration. By the way, so here's the question: how do people measure? Report drawings of the cross section of the shaft. Do you know how? Because it's hot in the shaft when the thing burps. How? Anyway, when the volcano is extinct, yeah, people go down and they I don't know how they do it. They cut across, and they found that the rock that solidified in the shaft, the rock of what used to be low viscosity hot rock flowing upward, has a surprisingly round cross section. That is how they know. And it has a round cross section because, as you know from all these examples, the round cross section provides the easy way out. Remember this. Next time somebody accuses you that you have chosen the easy way out, you should say, it's not my fault. I'm just acting naturally. I obey the Constructal law because it is the law. Okay? So that's the thought of the night.